Episode 8 of Handmaid's Tale, Woman's Work, was a lot to take in and high emotions for me. Very, very high. Before we get into all the craziness, let's start at the beginning of this episode. Everything's seeming nice and cheery. Serena and Offred are working together, and you see with the narration coming into a lot of play here with Offred, which I love. I've always said that was one of season 1's best strengths, was not underutilizing Elisabeth Moss's great narration skills. So I like this episode kind of went back to that because it always works for me. It really helps this feel more like a book and helps you really get in the mindset of Offred, which I always want to know. She uses her narration here to explain that she's enjoying what she's doing with Serena for now. So she says that Serena writes and she just reads it. And the best part was Offred asked her, do you miss working? Which is huge because these women do not work in this society. That is put down. And Serena Joy actually breaks her character and says, I hate knitting. So this made her a little more likable here. And Offred is getting into the deep core of her now. But then you find out Commander Waterford is coming home and it's like fun is over. Stop the tape. And this is also the person that stops Serena Joy from progressing at all towards anything good. I love the effect where they had Commander Waterford's foot come out of the limo and zoom in on him and it was like, oh boy. They were really setting up for his big return here. And he's clearly not 100% still, but he's still the same closed-minded prick that we've seen since the beginning. And him just not learning a thing after this whole incident, just coming in with the same mindset, but even crazier, really worked here for the show's sake because it kind of stepped up Commander Waterford and evolved his character in a different way, going backwards in a sense, and now we're seeing really how evil he really is. Another nice thing was Serena Joy giving Offred the ballerina toy, and Offred was just kind of like, well, I guess that's my thank you for all my work, but I guess it's something, right? It's a step in the right direction with Serena Joy. Again, I always talk about how this show is so good at having two separate scenes going on an episode kind of sink in the same message here. And for me, that was with Commander Waterford's behavior towards Serena Joy and Nick's behavior towards Eden. I'm always in the middle about Nick, and this pulls me even further away from Nick when I was starting to like him more again. Now I'm back going away because you see how Commander Waterford just pushes Serena out of the room and she's like, hey, you want to see my first draft? He's like, yeah, thanks. I'll read it when I get the chance. Doesn't want anything to do with her. He's still the man. And then the way Nick treats Eden was incredibly rude. And yeah, Eden does some stupid stuff. She's still a kid though. And Nick is just talking down to her like she's chopped liver this whole episode. And it's literally, you're watching him and Commander Waterford doing the same exact behaviors towards women. And yes, these aren't the most sympathetic woman you're rooting for, but it's still something you need to observe and watch. Because, yeah, we're supposed to hate Commander Waterford, so it's obvious. But we're not supposed to hate Nick. But there are things you're supposed to not like about Nick, and this is one of them. Where is his sympathy towards Eden? Why is he just still putting up this, like, man card with her and being disrespectful to someone who only can do so much at her age? So that was very unlikable for me on Nick, and he's going back down the rankings. So before we go back to the Waterfords, let's go to Janine's story here, which was really effective, and I just love seeing Janine talking with Offred again, and how wild Janine can be. When she gets going on something, she goes 100%. So now after everyone saying their names, I feel like Janine kind of took it as like, we just kind of start being ourselves again completely. But Offred was kind of going off like, easy. Like, let's ease into anything that's going the other direction. We can't just blow our cover either. Because Janine's just talking out loud and making a joke of stuff now. Almost like too quick. She's like that friend you're like when you get out of class early and you're like sneaking out, just the friend that's jumping up and down the hallway excited. It's like, no, shush, like we have to do this the right way. And her saying that great line to a huge Star Wars fan, may the force be with you, was hysterical. I don't know if Madeline Brewer improvised that or what, or who wrote that, but props to that. And I love any pop culture references because it brings you back to the time before all this stuff went down. And then they go into alien references, another thing for a sci-fi geek like me. Love hearing that, and them debating if Alien 1 was better than Alien 2. Really nice little touches there to humanize the characters a bit. But then it gets heavy real quick, and I feel like that was also preparing us for that, where, I mean, I started tearing up a bit, like realizing like, oh my god, Putnam's baby is Janine's baby. That's right. And she's sick. Angela's her name. And I thought it was really interesting how when Janine finds out it's her kid, she's like, Offred, why didn't you say anything? And Offred's like, I was going to. Just calm down. We'll figure this out. You need to relax. And it was so great where Janine says to Offred, you sound just like one of them. Really interesting stuff. That can be interpreted so many ways. It's not something to be overanalyzed, but is Offred picking up a little bit of Serena Joy and herself from hanging out with her so much? Is Offred totally for their handmaids? I'm sure she is. But then you wonder how much is for just herself, how much for the other handmaids. We'll see too. So it's another interesting they're opening up. Again, I'm taking it lightly, but that was an important line Janine said. And a really important narration Offred had in the same sequence was saying how, I wonder how Emily would feel if she knew I helped the Waterfords. That made me have to take a step back too and think like, I wonder, because you're now seeing different views the handmaids have, and Emily's a more radical version. So I think that's also teasing out a storyline with Emily and Offred, which would work good, and that's why it is better. Emily, not the greatest fan of the character. That would make her more interesting to me is, okay, she's not in the colonies anymore, but that made her this extremist person in a sense, and that was hinted at obviously with her running over someone with a car. But if she goes to the next level with Offred, that could be a nice little inner conflict between handmaids of like Emily's way versus Offred's way. So that could be something very cool. So then we see Serena Joy's asking Offred's advice. This is huge. Like, she's really using Offred as her counsel now. And she's like, what do we do about this baby situation? And Offred's like, you do anything for the baby, which is so true. And Serena Joy knows that deep down, especially being someone who values babies and motherhood a lot. And that was such a crazy reveal and brilliant writing where the best doctor for this is a woman and she's a Martha. So it's like, here we go. Now your society set up, now you're glaring a spotlight on the really bad holes. Even the most religious person would be like, ooh, why don't we have her being the doctor then? Like, this was a huge moment in the script to really show the audience how, wait a second, Gilead is going to start having things that face them that make them look like complete idiots, and let's see how they react. And Serena Joy's reacting the way where deep down she knows, like, oh my god, this is stupid and silly that we do this and wrong. But Commander Waterford ain't about it. He just shuts it down. That was such a crazy scene with Serena Joy asking him, like, hey, can you write off in this instant to let a female actually do labor and work as a doctor? And Commander Waterford's just like, we cannot disobey the will of God. So he's strict to his ways, to the book, period. So what I was talking about before about wondering, is Offred for other handmaids and other people? And she totally is. I mean, if Janine was worried about that by the way she talked to her, maybe it came off the wrong way. Because Offred then breaks her back to get it that Janine sees her kid. And Offred would not stand down, which was great. She knew she had a chance to really push Serena in the right direction. And Serena asked the parents for it, and the Putnam mother was a little weird about it, but the father was like, I don't see the harm. And that was kind of a cool thing where even two people that kind of looked at Janine like a crazy person from last season for standing on that bridge with the kid even knew, like, all right, we'll let her have her moment. This is the real birth mother. Oh yeah, we also kidnapped her and stole her from her, but that's a whole nother subject. That's the ironic thing. I'm feeling like, they're being good people, but again, they stole this child, so they're really not. This show screws with your head so much. So another interesting relationship we have in this show has always been Aunt Lydia and Janine. Aunt Lydia loves Janine, but she wanted Janine stoned at a point. But she still loves Janine. Like, this is her baby. And she even says to Offred, I can't believe Janine's seeing this kid or even knows about her being sick. Like, if this breaks her, it's on you, Aunt Lydia says. And we know people like this in our life, too, that are the belief of, if you don't say anything, what's the big deal? It's not going to hurt them then. I don't agree with that way of life. Maybe you do, but that's what frustrates me about Aunt Lydia and her way of thinking. And I'm totally on Offred's side on this. Like, if this is her kid, she needs to know and she needs to see her kid. Even if it might break her, isn't that the point of all this? You still have to feel emotions and go through things in life. So it'd be worse if she found out years later and didn't know. So there was some work here by Offred kind of turning Aunt Lydia and Aunt Serena Joy around and kind of really facing the truth of them being a woman and what they really believe deep down and not these suppressed beliefs they've put on themselves. But Serena Joy letting her see the baby was the best thing she's done yet in the show. So that was huge. She has no reason to even do this for Janine. She doesn't have a connection to Janine. So this was a big turnaround for Serena Joy than anything we've ever gotten. It was a very transforming moment, and it was like, wow, I cannot believe this is happening right now. For her to even push the Putnams, to let Janine see the baby, and I love this whole shot with the baby in the middle of the room and having all the sections separated of the Putnams and Offred and Aunt Lydia with Janine in the corner and Serena Joy in her own little thing. It was such a... I can't even explain the emotion I felt during this scene, but it worked so well. The cinematography on it was as good as it gets, and it was chilling and hard to watch. You see this doctor come in. They let her do it, the female doctor. You just tell she sends her assistant to go talk to the Putnams, and it's bad news, and you could see it break on Aunt Lydia's face, and Janine's like, what's happening? It's happening. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. You see when Janine realizes it's so sad. Serena Joy even was like, you were supposed to help her to the doctor. You're supposed to be the best. Why didn't you do that? Which is so in Serena Joy's character, though. Even like in her best moments, she's still this very demanding, why aren't you better type person. And she especially got like that because she knows she broke the law to do this. So she's still back to that selfish way in a sense, Serena Joy, where she's like, well, if I'm going to do this, it better work kind of thing. But it was interesting to see how everyone reacted, including Aunt Lydia, because she was very emotional and crying about it. So there is some good in Aunt Lydia somewhere. So again, everyone's asking for that backstory of Aunt Lydia. You know they're saving it, but I really want to know her psyche. It's going to be super crazy. And I mean, come on. If you're not human, when Serena Joy started tearing up and Aunt Lydia at the same time and Offred, and they were cutting between them, man, great actresses all around. But this all led to my opinion, the best scene that's been in this show was when Nick tells Serena Joy and Offred, Commander Waterford wants you in his office. And you're just like, oh no. Oh no. This is bad. And it was cool. Serena Joy was like to Offred, let me do the talking, let me handle this. And the actor of Commander Waterford, Joseph Fiennes, he's been kind of reserved role this season, but he got to have his moment here and show why he's one of the best actors ever to do it. And again, the cinematography of how they angle everyone's faces and where their current emotions at, it shows you how much they're painting a picture just with the camera work in this show, how they represent each character from scene to scene. And this was a perfect example in this scene with the three of them in that room and having the blocking where Offred's kind of standing a little further back, Serena Joy moves up, and Commander Waterford's getting that far shot of him just sitting at his desk in power. And the way he just acted this scene, oh man, it was so good. And the best line here was when Serena Joy was like, what's more important than preserving a child? There's nothing more important. And she's right. But then Commander Waterford just says, obeying your husband. Just like that. And then he goes and picks up the scripture in the book and he uses it to justify what he's about to do, which is terrible, and take a belt and brutally whip Serena Joy. And this, my God, this scene, man. Just them having the harrowing wind in the background during it. And when he's hitting her and his hair's kind of flipping back and Offred's turning around and he's like, no, Offred's, no, you're staying and you're watching. Like, he wanted Offred to watch that. It was just, oh my God, man. And then you did feel bad for Serena Joy. I don't care what she's done. You're starting to see now there is some serious abuse here, clearly. And then you wonder more and more about their backstory and how psychotic Commander Waterford is. And that this has solidified him as pure trash and evil. Or even in season 1, he has moments with Offred where you were like, oh, maybe he's a little better than Serena Joy. Maybe he has more good. But no, he's in a different league of his own in evil right now. Just absolutely insane. And, I mean, he was hitting her. That wasn't just like 1 or 2 whips with the belt. And he's like, okay. He just kept going. It's like he got off on it. And it's almost like he was like kind of trying to impress Offred in a weird way, too. It was a very crazy thing with him. His character is just such an odd person and creature, and I love shots like that where it gets that like deep and heavy and it's hitting you and you don't even know what to feel about everyone in the scene in particular. And when he's hitting Serena Joy and they show Offred like almost picking up this trauma and all the stuff she's already been through and seen, it's like, what's worse, like she's been through stuff like that, or is it worse seeing someone you started to actually like going through it, or a person you thought was pure evil and hate, and then you realize, oh my God, they go through horrible stuff too, and is this what's making them this way? And how am I... It's almost like she's thinking, how am I supposed to even feel about this? And the way the camera shook on Offred's face during it, every time it hits Serena Joy with the sound, brilliant filmmaking. That, to me, made this my favorite scene. It was just like, you felt it. You felt the way the camera shook, the way the music was, and the sound effect of it. You felt it like I was standing in Offred's shoes, which is what I want from anything I'm watching. Put me in the movie. Put me in the scene. Put me in the TV show. I want to feel like I'm there. What is this going on? Take me out of my life. Put me in experiences I can try to see where people are coming from, what they're doing. This nailed it 100% of just viewing someone being abused from Offred's standpoint. And it's, I don't want to cry on camera because it's weird, but I mean, I got emotional during that. And the way Offred, like, you love Offred because, I mean, she's really MVP of all this when it comes down to it. I mean, Serena Joy's done such horrible things to her. And for her to, like, you know, go to that door and say to her, you okay? And, like, knowing Serena Joy doesn't want knowing Serena Joy doesn't want to do this anymore, but she can't even like face this trauma the right way, and is like just a slave to it too. And Offred knows that, and Offred knows Serena Joy's been a horrible person too, but is still sympathizing with her, and seeing something wrong happening is like almost telling her, I'm here for you. And Offred's just in her, and Serena Joy's in her room is just like, go to your room. And it's like Offred just knows this horrible thing's happening to this person. It's just like you Offred doesn't have to do that still, because like, you know, this woman's ruined her life, kidnapped her kid, but she's still able to do that. It's like Offred is truly, in that sense, a good person. It's embarrassing as hell. I'm crying, and I'm literally not even milking this, but I don't know why. It just makes me feel a certain way. And then we see Offred go talk to Commander Waterford, and knows to still play the game. She basically apologizes to him, which he wanted to hear, but she says that great quote, because the narration's so powerful here, to get you in her mindset of why she's doing it, where she's like, women are afraid of men killing them, but men are afraid of women laughing at them. And that really struck on this whole episode and what Commander Waterford's head's about. And it's almost like he really always wants to impress Offred and June, because he's got a crush on her. It's there. He wants to do that. He wants to swing his power in front of her. He's over Serena Joy too. So Offred knows that, and she knows to play that card. But then, so she's still being smart, but then she breaks down and just is in the hallway, because she's like, I hate this guy, but I still have to fake like I like him. It's brutal. It's a lot of emotions. But then we got a glimmer of hope here with Janine's baby being okay, and she's with the baby in the morning, and Aunt Lydia sees it, and Aunt Lydia's reaction is even like happy, because she is so happy the baby's okay. And then maybe she's seeing that Offred was right, and this was the right thing to do, and that this kid needed his real mother. It just says it all. The Putnams are fast asleep, and Janine's the one up. Janine's the one where the kid is reacting to and taking care of her kid and singing to the baby. The baby wants to hear his real mother's voice, not the people who took the baby away. I really love the actress of Janine, Maddie Brewer, singing here. It was great. Really good singer. And I love how the credits rolled out with her singing. It was very touching in a really effective way to end this crazy, crazy episode. I'm giving this episode a 10 out of 10. I think this season, the last 3 episodes have been just going up and up. And this episode was enough for me to put this now almost in the same category as season 1. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I'm a sucker for anything that has the dark filters on it, the David Fincher-esque music. This felt like that to me. This show isn't afraid to go where it needs to go. And it's teaching, I think, a lot of people a lot of things. And I'm enjoying it. It's still entertainment value. It's amazing acting all around, amazing music, amazing cinematography, amazing directing, amazing writing. Everyone on this crew deserves credit. Out of any of these big shows right now, a lot of shows this year have been disappointing season 2s. Westworld, I'm talking to you. Stranger Things as well. Handmaid's Tale is not letting that bog them down, and is definitely still the top dog to me. So props this episode. It is perfection to me. I'm giving it a 10. Let me know what you thought below. Tell me your thoughts on the episode. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to try to respond to as many people as I can. And yeah, let's just get discussion going. Talk with everybody else too in the comments. Debate stuff. That's what this is all about. And please subscribe. My review gets posted right when each new episode airs, so you don't want to miss one. And praise be, that was the first review I just cried on camera, so let's hope I don't regret it.